What's up, y'all, and welcome into the Jack Vita Show. I'm your host, Jack Vita. We are back in action here. We are coming off the heels of a couple of great podcast episodes, interviews with players, both major league players and top prospects, and we've got another one lined up for today. If you guys missed it, you can go back and check out my conversation with Anthony Rendon. And of course, we just spoke with DJ Hers, one of the breakout stars of the Fall League, the Arizona Fall League, of course. And today, joining us, we have another Fall star. He's currently the number 9 prospect in the Philadelphia Phillies farm system, according to MLB Pipeline. He's someone that I got to know a little bit out at the Fall League. Greatly enjoyed talking with him. And I'm so glad to have him here. He's an outfielder, Gabriel Rincones Jr. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. I don't know how many podcasts you've gotten to do, but you're in for a treat today. Should be a fun time.
Looking forward to it.
All right, so first things first, you spent the majority of your life, or at least you spent a big chunk of your life in Scotland. How many years did you live in Scotland?
7.
7 years. And why were you out in Scotland?
My dad's job, he's a safety advisor on the oil rigs out there. And also, like, the state of Venezuela at the time wasn't as bad as it is now, but he kind of saw, like, it'd be better if we moved out. He had the opportunity, so he took us out to Scotland. He told me, hey, we're going on vacation. And it was just like, I'm still on vacation. So,
What's the baseball scene like in Scotland?
none. Well, the league. There were no leagues back then, but like now there's a lot more interest in the sport. Like my personal buddies in my neighborhood, like they would make fun of me for even like bringing up baseball as a topic of discussion. They would like laugh at me and stuff. But now like the interest is a lot bigger because Great Britain um, went to the baseball classic, and there's more traction down in England. Not exactly Scotland. Uh, but back when I grew up, it was pretty tough to. I didn't play organized baseball at all, to be honest. I did a bunch of other stuff, just not baseball.
So how were you improving at baseball if you weren't playing in an organized league?
Over there, I wasn't. I mean, the Edinburgh Cannons was the team that I would play on Sundays. It was like a Sunday league men's team. My dad would whenever my dad would be in town because he would be 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off. I would get up early morning, pretty much dressed out because I wanted to go play. We'd drive about an hour and play for a couple hours, and I wasn't really allowed to play the first couple years just because they were like grown men. Uh, but then I got to like 9, maybe 10, I'd start playing. But it was every now and then on Sundays, and it wasn't like I wouldn't face pitching. It was just like, all right, you can have time for cash. Like, yeah, throw me a ball over here. Let me dive for this ball. But I would just, you know, play soccer or football over there. Play do some judo and swimming, and it was a lot of just kid stuff. Not really baseball. Baseball is a kid's game, but none for me over there.
So when did you first start playing in an organized league?
I was 2.5, about 3 years old in Venezuela because I grew up in Venezuela the first 6 years. Um, and my dad he played professionally as well. So growing up in Venezuela and like that environment, it always stuck with me, and I loved it. So um, after 7 years in Scotland, my parents kept asking me like, "What do you want to be? What do you want to be?" I was like, "I want to play baseball," not knowing like what I would have to do. So they gave me the opportunity. They sent me over here. I've been here ever since 8th grade. Uh, yeah,
And who'd you live with here in the States?
my uncle Roberto. He did me a great favor to my parents and I for giving me shelter and everything I needed to, do what I needed to do, like school wise and baseball wise. Even though the first 2 years of high school I didn't make the team, I got cut, so wasn't looking too bright the first 2 years.
And that was in Florida.
Yeah, Plant High School under
So
Dennis Braun.
Florida's a great state to grow up playing baseball in. I
Yeah.
imagine were there a lot of guys that you were seeing who you're now circling back with and you're seeing in the minor leagues who maybe you played against in high school?
Yeah. So Jack Caglione, he's 2
Yeah.
years younger than me. He I love Jack. He's like my little brother, little big brother, because that dude's bigger than me. But I, upperclassmen like Cal Tucker was there, Connor Scott. Uh, like obviously Pete is a little older, Pete Alonso, as well as like Preston Tucker. But I mean, those guys would always be around uh, BP, and whenever they would have time off in the fall, like they come around. Uh, and like it was, I mean, Plant's always a powerhouse for baseball because they have a good coach and good program they run over there. So
I saw Jack play out at the College World Series last year. He's gonna be a great
yeah,
player. He
yeah.
is already in college. Do you think he's gonna do the two-way thing, or do you think
Oh
he's gonna
yeah.
end up? Yeah,
I mean, when he committed to Florida as a pitcher, like everybody would like told him, hey, you're gonna go over there to Florida to pitch. Like it's too hard to do a two-way thing. And I mean, look at him now. Like the kid has talent and he works hard. So it's like it's usually you either have one or the other. But like when you got guys that have both and they actually put it to use, you get like Jack. So
so were you watching a lot of his games last year? College World
yeah,
Series? Yeah.
yeah. I was locked in.
They had a great team. We're Horned Frogs fans. My sister went to TCU, so we made the drive out to Omaha from Chicago. Great trip. Highly recommend it to any of the listeners who haven't done the College World Series thing before. One thing I would offer as a tip: buy your tickets like the day of. There's no need to buy tickets out in advance. I was scared that the tickets were going to sell out, so I bought all these tickets out in the bleachers, and then like the day of, I ended up probably buying tickets. I didn't even sell the bleacher tickets. I just bought infield tickets for probably the same price as what the bleacher tickets I bought days earlier were for. Great experience. Highly recommend it. You of course played at Florida Atlantic, and
Yeah.
Florida Atlantic. I mean, they've had a great basketball team the last couple of years. Have you been tracking it all this season?
No, but I'd go to a couple games before they would, they're the FAU basketball team that they are now. Wasn't really packed
Yeah,
out at the time, but now they're, they get after it. Those guys have been playing really good basketball, but I don't really keep track.
Big Owls guy right here.
Yeah, go out.
Gabriel, can you break out the Scottish accent for us?
Yeah, just fire away. Just ask what you want, and I'll respond to it in my accent. It's a little different because speaking to Americans, it doesn't come out as fluid. But when I go back home with my pals in Fife, it just comes like a lot natural. Um, right now, it feels a bit forced just because I'm speaking to you. It's different.
Do a lot of people play golf in Scotland? There's a question
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. I mean, not where I'm from because small town in Glenrothes, it's not. Nothing. You don't really do anything. There's no golf courses. There's a couple soccer pitches, but Glenrothes is like you go somewhere else if you want to do something. To be honest,
Are you a fan? Have you ever watched any reality competition shows like Survivor, Amazing Race, anything like that?
um, over there, like reality shows would be like Big Brother,
Yeah,
but
Big Brother
uh,
UK. Yeah.
yeah, that was big. And like Love Island, I don't watch that crap. My sisters and my mom they love that show, and my girlfriend likes that show. I don't like watching that crap.
Well, the reason I ask is because there's a new show that takes place in Scotland. It's an American show called The
Really?
Traitors. Yeah, it's
Like, is that like a wilderness type of thing?
so The Traitors is a show where they pull people like they've got 20 celebrities, which are reality TV veterans. They're not like Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie kind of celebrities. They're reality stars from the American Big Brother, Survivor, Desperate or Real Housewives, people like that. So they get 20 of them. They put them in this castle in Scotland, and three of them are the murderers known as the traitors. So it's a murder mystery game, and each episode they eliminate somebody by murdering them, although they don't actually kill them. They just send them out of the castle.
Yeah.
Everybody else is trying to figure out and pinpoint the identity of these traitors. So I was
Do you
wondering
know?
if you would, yeah.
Do you know where? Like what
Ah,
castle or where it is?
the Ardross Castle in the Highlands.
I was curious because I wouldn't imagine them doing something like that at like a touristy castle like Stirling and Edinburgh Castle. So I was curious.
Yeah, so it looks like an old time castle. Now, I don't know if they're actually sleeping in that castle. I think they're just shooting everything there.
Yeah.
Probably stay in a hotel. But shameless plug here on the Jack Vita Show, we are covering the Traders each week with Stephanie LaGrossa Kendrick from season 1 of the Traders. So it's on Peacock. It's a lot of fun. Each episode, we'll be providing a recap on it. You'll probably want to check out that show. You'll be
Yeah,
looking around.
that's intriguing. I wanna check that out.
Have you been to the Highlands?
Yeah, yeah. See some Highland cows, some Highland coos.
Looks beautiful there.
Yeah, it is.
So, okay, you got drafted in 2022, third round pick. You were unable to play that year. You were injured. What was that process like of getting drafted, coming into the Phillies farm system? And I mean, was it tough to just have to be patient and sit and wait to play and not be able to play for a whole year?
Um, yes and no because I was more worried about like, will I get healthy? Will I be, stupid stuff that your brain comes up with when you're in a situation with a lot of unknowns. But that's when, if you're well rooted in your faith, that's when that part of human nature doesn't get to you as much. So because I have sometimes, I obviously get out of a good habit of staying in my faith and talking to God and trusting in Christ. But because I have that, those times are easier to get out of when I do fall into those worries, simply just because being in the presence of God takes away all the unnecessary feelings of worries, doubts, anxieties. But yeah, like I would be in rehab and every day would be a different type of pain. And I felt like yesterday felt better than the current day I was in. But that's just like the ups and downs of rehabs. And you see guys go in after you get in, and then leave before you do in rehab. I wasn't one of those guys. Well, some of them with more minor stuff would come in, but there were some guys there that have been there for 2 years and see me come in for 6 months and leave. If you don't have a good faith, I can't imagine how bad that must feel. So, uh, encourage anybody that is doing stuff like that to uh, not be so focused in what they can do because you can only do so much. Like, when things are out of your control, like, open the Bible every now and then, every day, make it a habit and see how your life changes. But I enjoyed my time in rehab just because I knew I was getting stronger and I was going to come back better than I was at FAU. I didn't have an arm at FAU. I was just trying to get through the season, so I was excited. If anything,
Well, I love what you had to say there about your relationship with Christ. And to sum it up, it sounds like what you're saying is, when you go through those seasons where it's like, man, my body isn't what I'd like it to be right now. I can't play or whatever hardship or difficulty, those times are when we can grow in our relationship with Christ and we're forced to rely on God and put our trust in him.
yeah, because you become something much bigger than what you actually are, rather than being like the mere flesh and blood of being a human being. But if you're trying to be in the presence of God because it's an attempt because you're going to fail. It's going to only get harder. But you become something bigger and you just do more things that you're not even capable of thinking of doing. So, but that's more of like long term fruits of sticking with good faith.
Amen. How did you come to know Christ?
I always felt like I loved God, but before my year at FAU, I just you know I would do certain things and afterwards regret them doing them, but keep doing it anyway and going back to that, lukewarm type of be that lukewarm type of believer, because my family's Catholic and I don't really understand the whole divide between Catholics and Christians. I get it, but I think that it's something created by not God, because you're trying to follow the same God and you believe in Christ, and uh, I just follow the Bible and try to follow what the words of Christ says. But I was a lukewarm Christian before I got to FAU, and this is why I say, like, the way that things panned out for me, I couldn't draw it up any better, just because at torn labrum, JUCO guy, I asked for 800. I did everything I could possibly do. Win player of the year for the state of Florida, and I even asked the year, like, this before the season started, what do I have to do to be a third round guy or be a top 3 rounder? And he's like, you got to just be the best in Florida. And then I was like, okay. I went out and did that. Even though Spencer Rich had a better year than me, in my opinion, 30 games and 10 homers, 400. I mean, but they gave me the award. And then I didn't even get a single call on draft day that year. And very, very, very bitter, very angry, because I obviously didn't want to go to school. I was going to school to play baseball. And I'm very glad I did go back for another year at FAU, because that year I said, I'm tired of living the way I'm living, so I'm actually going to try and do something about it. And I started reading the Bible more often. I met my girlfriend, who obviously I know people now where I see myself the way I was when I first met her, because you meet someone who's better in their faith than you are, and then you want to stack up how you do with other people. You say, oh, well, I'm not like you, or I'm not there yet. I don't know how to do that. But it's like that's not coming from God. Like, that's coming from more like evil influence, trying to infiltrate your mind to think that, so that it keeps you away from God. Uh, so everybody has that kind of mentor, and that mentor for me was my girlfriend. Um, so, and that being said, like, she had to put up with a lot of stuff, like, on my end, just because I had a past. She didn't really have a past, but because she's in Christ, she was able to, forgive me and get past that. Whether if she wasn't, it would be a lot harder to even trying to. So that year at FAU, I completely just put my trust in God, and every day I would do my Bible time, and instead of worrying about the draft and worry about the season, which I did a lot the year before that, and that got me nowhere, because it was more of like God trying to say, look, this is how you do it, and look how well you did, but you're not putting me first, so you're not getting everything you want. You put me first at FAU, and things happen the way I plan them to be, not the way you think you know is best. And the way he had it planned out is way better than what I wanted. So um, I gave my life to Christ February, like right before the season. I think it's February 18th of 21. And I look at things completely different now, because giving your life to Christ means living a completely different life, and it means that other people can't, well, they can, but it has no hold on you when they try to say you did this, you did that. Like, they can only judge you after the stuff you do after um, you try to live for Christ. And hey, you might fail and stuff, but uh, it's the constant pursuit, and abundant life is continual dependence on Christ. So I keep trying to live to that.
Amen, man. That's incredible. So, um, started thinking more about the sovereignty of God and how God is directing your paths when you're putting Him first. And it sounds like Christ has just radically transformed your life in a short amount of time.
Yeah, like everything I work try to work up to and try to achieve, like all the work I put in, like yeah, it was necessary that I worked that hard, but it wasn't gonna come true unless I did that one thing, was try to put God first and actually putting Him first, and uh, not prioritize something else and not follow God because I want to achieve something. It was just put Him first, and everything that comes to you is you'll be content with what you get.
Man, that's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. And so I think that's a little bit of why you've got the Instagram bio: Jesus, sleep, and Chipotle.
Yeah, I can't go with either one, like without either of those.
Okay, well that makes me curious. So obviously Jesus occupies is at the center of your life. That's first and foremost. So how much sleep are you like do you need to get each night? Are you a good sleeper?
I love to sleep. I love to sleep. And after coming back from Japan, I think it really has put me in a good sleeping schedule because I get really tired around 8 o'clock. I hit the bed, hit in my bed at 8:30 and fall asleep by 9, and I keep waking up at 4, 5 o'clock, and I mean that's time I love it. Like getting up at 5, even if I'm a little tired, like if you wake up early and the first thing you do out of bed is, you hit your knees and say the Lord's Prayer and spend time a little bit, just a little bit of time in the Bible, like one chapter. Like I'm a terrible reader. I can't read more than a page to save my life, and I don't know what I'm reading. So I only read a chapter and I digest that and I take notes on what I think I understand from it, and I just have a conversation with God, and it's that constant attempt to be in his presence, like a friend, and not like a a teacher where you go into class and you have for an hour and then you forget about him after you leave.
Yeah, having a relationship
Yeah,
with Christ, not just oh yeah, I kind of know that guy. It's like no, no, no.
yeah,
I love that guy. He's my best friend.
yeah.
Um, okay, so you sleep well, you pray, you read God's word, and what's your like go-to Chipotle order? Do you always get the same thing or do you shake it up
Same thing.
sometimes?
No, no, same thing. I don't like vegetables, but I do like calories, so I do double wrap burrito, extra white rice, extra black beans, double chicken, queso, maybe a little bit of hot sauce, cheese, and sometimes lettuce. I haven't been getting lettuce that often, but that thing comes out the size of like my head. Honestly, it's like a medium sized baby.
I feel like we're living in a Chipotle renaissance right now because I don't know, I guess it could differ by location, but here in Chicago, I mean, Chipotle, I remember when I was, I'm 29, so I'm a few years older than you. When I was in high school, like around 2010, Chipotle was booming. You get those gigantic burritos, they were huge. It was so good. And I think about like 2, 3 years ago, at least around here, the portion sizes got really small. The quality, a lot of times it wasn't as fresh as it, like what it used to be. The quality was down. And now all of a sudden, I feel like it's way back up again. The portion sizes
Yeah,
are up. My brother told me that apparently this is me sounding old. I'm not on TikTok, but apparently on TikTok a lot of people were calling out Chipotle and saying like what has happened to Chipotle? The portion sizes are so small. And now we're back. It feels like Chipotle's back.
yeah, dude. I try to, if I eat out fast food, only go to Chipotle. I've actually been getting into Fresh Kitchen, but the thing about Fresh Kitchen is that I go in and I get this like carnivorous meal, and then everybody's looking at me like sideways because I'm at Fresh Kitchen and I'm not getting vegetables. I'm like, dude, leave me alone, man. And just please give me my order. I don't want no vegetables. Don't give me no like weird couscous or broccoli. Just sweet potatoes is as far as I'll go. But Fresh Kitchen, their chicken and steak is unreal.
What about Qdoba or Moe's? Have you been to either of those?
Moe's is too salty for me. Their steak is really salty, and I don't like the rice. It's kind of like a hard texture. Qdoba, I've had it once or twice. I did like it. It's just there's not that many around me to me even like make the switch from Chipotle to Qdoba.
Qdoba's good. It's pretty similar, honestly. It's pretty similar. And like I said, like a couple years ago, I felt like I was really big on Qdoba when I thought Chipotle was starting to dip. But now I think Chipotle is back. So
Yeah, I've been cooking on my own, and honestly, I prefer that over all of them, to be honest. And not only from my wallet's standpoint, but uh, I don't know. I just tastes better when it's home, like home cooked, and I don't know, it's just different.
So you just spent your first year in minor league baseball. Spent majority of the year in Jersey Shore, another section of the year in Clearwater. And I'm curious because obviously I imagine you're traveling quite a bit. It's harder to make your own food. So what are you eating when you're on the road? Is it harder to maintain that healthy lifestyle, or are you able to get Chipotle a lot when you're on the road? Is that like all you eat?
Um, I This last season was not a good example of me like staying disciplined and cooking because my go-to was Carrabba's, DoorDash, like Chipotle. Yeah, I really need to do better on that. But my go-to, there's a Carrabba's almost everywhere, and or an Applebee's, but Applebee's is a little weird.
Yeah, I agree. Agree. Yeah, I think it's got to be hard. What is there anything about minor league baseball that has really surprised you? Something you weren't expecting? You're like, oh wow, interesting.
Yeah, this whole like paying for our housing and food and CBA and our wages going up. Like super glad about it, but I also look back and I'm like, there's so many players that because of that probably didn't get to the big leagues or probably didn't become all stars. I'm not saying like if you gave them what we had, they would have all of them, but definitely a privilege that I'm grateful for and that I'm not a player growing up, 5 years ago in the system. So like the amount of pampering that we get compared to like past players is very grateful for that.
So they take care of you guys better now.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well it sounds like you're enjoying it then. You don't have any complaints.
Nah, every day's a good day, and even when you have bad days, you're still breathing. You can still have a good day. It's hard to say, or hard to do, easy to say, but uh, it's working hard, day at a time.
So, you were in Jersey Shore and Clearwater, and with you being a Florida guy, I imagine you had a little more fun playing in Clearwater than out in New Jersey, right?
Dude, Clearwater was so much fun. I had a lot. Like that team was special. I mean, it was a good team. Called it Pressureville. So every time we get on, we just even if we didn't hit, we'd score a run. Uh, and Jersey was also fun. It's just like I don't know. It's Florida. It's Clearwater. It's like where we have spring training, and the fans here in Clearwater are a little bit more lively.
Clearwater's a great spot. We've been vacationing there every year as a family since I was a kid. We go to Indian Rocks Beach. Big fan of that area. Great area.
Yeah, I prefer Clearwater Beach, but Indian Rocks is also a good spot. Uh, I personally wouldn't live here. I like this is more of a vacation, uh, but
Ooh,
I like it. I
interesting.
like it.
Where would
Yeah.
you like to live when you get that big league contract?
Texas has pretty good prices on houses, a lot of land, but I don't know. I haven't explored the country enough because I just came back from Arizona and I like the weather there, but it just seems like it's like super. It's just not meant to be lived in, you know? Like it would be a nice little vacation place, but I like Texas. I like Florida. And I don't really know yet. Maybe Montana. I haven't gone up there.
I feel like Nashville would be a good spot for you.
Nashville. Yeah, I've been up to that area. Just not enough. I need to go
I
check it out.
I think you'd like Tennessee because I it sounds like you like warmer weather, but you don't like unbearably hot weather like Texas or Arizona.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the cold, but I also love the hot. But just
Yeah.
you know,
Nashville, you kind of get a little more of a mix of those things. It doesn't get
yeah.
too cold like Chicago does, where it's -10 last night here. But
Mm.
it's pretty sunny. It's nice, but it's also a little more woodsy. Um, I think you'd like it. I was just out there for the winter meetings and saw a lot of people. It's a good time. I think you'll have to check out Nashville. I think you'd like it there.
You ever been to Arizona? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, we were out
dude.
there together.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That was my first time there, and my fingertips started cracking so bad that I would look down. And I'm like, did I cut myself? I haven't cooked recently, and they would start bleeding. And I was like, there's no way this state is making me crack that bad that I'm bleeding from nothing. But
Yeah.
every time I put on something long sleeve, I wouldn't sweat, so it was awesome.
When I'm out in Arizona, that's always like you make your when you go out somewhere. So I was out there for 8 weeks. I was probably out there about the same amount of time as you, maybe a little longer. Um, because I actually stayed until Thanksgiving. I didn't want to go home right away. I was like, I'm gonna play golf. I'm gonna hang out.
Yeah, that's
Got
right.
friends out here, players, people hanging out with a lot of baseball people. So, um, but like when you go somewhere, whether it's a vacation or if you're gonna camp out and stay there for a while, maybe it's like a minor league, you know, you get called up somewhere, you're gonna I feel like you always make that first run to CVS or Walgreens where you're like, I gotta get a few of these things. And the number one thing that I'm running to get is like hand lotion because of the dryness that you're describing. It always catches me by surprise because we get our hands get like that this time of year because it's so cold and dry, but it's like that year round in Arizona.
Yeah,
So it's
it
weird.
was nuts.
Did that affect you at all, like gripping a bat or anything like that? Did it feel weird? No?
No, because when I'm like, I don't know, like I swing a lot. Like in high school, I would swing till like my hands bled, so I don't really get blisters anymore. So if there's anything like a bruised finger or like really bad blister, I just grip the bat a little tighter, and it hurts a little bit for the time that I'm gripping it, but then it kind of goes away once you start focusing on the pitcher. So not really.
How'd you like the fall league? Do you miss it at all?
Yeah, it was there were good times there. I had a lot of fun, and it's easy to have fun when you're playing well. It's hard to have fun when you're not playing well. So I
Yeah,
had fun.
you had a great fall league for the Scottsdale Scorpions. Uh, were there any guys that you really enjoyed getting a chance to know who you hadn't met before from other organizations?
Yeah, pretty much everybody on my team, like Reggie, like Victor, Trey, DJ. DJ was a great guy to be around. Like Israel Pineda. I can name pretty much everybody on that team from off the top of my head because I don't know. I really enjoyed being around those guys. Yeah, but it was a great team. And then at the home run derby, I was about the All Star game. I met a
Yeah,
couple guys there, like Ivan and uh,
Kevin.
Damian Palmigiani,
Yep,
Alcantara
Damiano. Yeah,
too. Um, yeah, those guys are great guys, and it was fun. Yeah, it was.
Kevin Alcantara was he was fun. I interviewed him and he wanted to do the whole thing in English. Obviously these teams have programs for those who don't know that help guys who come from Spanish speaking countries that don't know English. They help teach them English and he wanted to do apparently all of his interviews in English. So he did the interview in English and Josh Schwam, shout out to our communications director of the Fall League. Josh texts me and he's like, "Can you email me the questions for Kevin because he wants to look them over and have an answer ready?" And I'm like, "Man, I love how this guy is just really wanting to like thinking about what he wants to say and how." Then he had Anna Lee, who I'm sure you met at some point. She was helping him out if he needed a little help with translation and stuff like that. But he was a great interview and his nickname is the Jaguar. I don't know if you knew
Yeah, he has a couple pendants that has his little logo on it. It's kind of sick.
that. Oh my gosh. I was like asking him what TV shows do you like to watch? And he said the Animal Channel, or Animal Network or whatever it's called. And he's like, I love going to the zoo. I love giraffes. Like he's telling me all about these animals. I was like, who knew?
Dude, the time I was in Arizona, my roommate Mitch Newborn was watching TV and we put on Animal Planet,
Animal
and
Planet. There we
I'm
go.
stuck on the TV like this. I'm like, I'm just zen. I'm watching these animals and I'm like, this is awesome.
Did you watch the aquarium show?
No.
Okay, that one I was really into that a couple years ago. It's like a whole. It's probably it was only on for 3 seasons, and it's just like documenting the Georgia Aquarium, and the Georgia Aquarium is the biggest aquarium, at least in the U.S., and they have whale sharks in it. So they got those like whale sharks are the biggest fish in the sea. They're
Yeah.
gigantic. So big fan of that show. Very much zen, very relaxing. Like if you are stressed out, put on Animal Planet.
I like the land animals more than I do sea.
What are you watching? You watching anything on Netflix or any shows right now? Documentaries, movies?
Right now, no. No, nothing right now. But a couple. Not gonna. Before I was like, nah, dude, I'm not watching that crap. That's weird. But there's a couple of anime shows that I am
Anime.
deep into, and it's not. I'm not like this anime savant. Like I don't go and watch a bunch. Only like two or three, which was really cool. Like Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer. But I'm a big war movie guy. I think I told you
Yeah,
that over
you
in
did.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I
Braveheart.
yeah, I love Braveheart.
There you go.
Which is a little different just because that movie's not like historically accurate. It's Braveheart wasn't actually William Wallace. The nickname Braveheart was given to Robert the Bruce, who helped William Wallace. But Robert the Bruce got the nickname Braveheart because when he died, his heart was taken to in a silver case, was taken. Um, I forget the knight's name, but they go and fight the Spanish, and the knight says, uh, "Lead me, Bruce, into battle," and he throws his heart at the Spaniards as they're like going to fight them on horseback, which is dope. That's how they got the nickname Braveheart. But they got slaughtered, and the heart went back to Scotland.
So, are you a fan of? Do you like any mob movies or anything like that, like The Departed or
I wanted.
Goodfellas?
You said mob movies?
Yeah,
Yeah, I put down a Bronx Tale. I want to watch that. I'm a big movie clip guy. Like a lot of
movie clip.
shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like movie clips. Just like that's dope. I want to watch it, but I don't have the patience to watch the whole movie. So I like watching clips. But A Bronx Tale looks like a cool movie, and it's too good for me to like just watching clips. I want to go watch it the whole thing. But uh, the Godfather series, I like that those movies. The Goodfellas, I haven't seen
Oh, that's great. One of my favorites.
really.
Goodfellas, Casino, The Departed. Those three. Ah, Scorsese flicks. Those are great. There's a World War II documentary on Netflix that I've had a couple people. Actually, Rendon was one of the guys. He's like, this thing is the best World War II documentary I've ever seen.
Um, that's not Band of Brothers, right?
No, it's a documentary. It's
A
a new one.
documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I bought Band of Brothers with the guy from Friends
Yeah,
on there.
Ross. Yeah.
Yeah,
David
he
Schwimmer.
passed away, I think. Right?
No,
No, that's the
that
other
was
guy,
Chandler.
Chandler. Yeah, I didn't watch Friends either, but Band of Brothers I watched on the flight to Japan. It was actually kind of dope.
What were you doing in Japan?
My little sister took a gap year there. She's finishing up a year in Japan. She just loves the culture there, and also uh, she followed me whenever I did something like sports wise. She would go in after me, like swimming. She hated swimming, and judo. She went after me, and now she's a black belt. But I left to come here, and she stuck with it. So uh, judo is Japanese, and she loves the whole culture there. Uh, so she went over there for a gap year, and she's still over there, trying to live independently. 19-year-old, but you know, she's still learning.
How many siblings do you have?
I have an older sister who just had a baby. She couldn't go to Japan, and then have a younger sister.
Very cool. And what are you most looking forward to about spring training? I mean, it's coming up really quickly.
Uh, Facing as many big leaguers and as many all-star big leaguers as I can, and just not letting them beat me and holding my own, and winning a lot of those competitions, just stacking myself up against them. So even if nobody sees or thinks that I'm ready for the big leagues, and as long as I feel like I can tear that league up, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Is there anyone that you're excited to get to spend a little more time around that maybe you can learn a couple things from, or maybe get a chance to outdo them in camp and be like, okay, we're like 2 weeks in and Rincones is hitting better than Kyle Schwarber or something like that?
Simone Muzziotti, he he had some big league time, and he last year, before I even started the season, he would teach me a couple things out in the outfield because he's a good runner, good defensive guy, and I always talk smack to him. He acts a lot older than he actually is, so I think it's funny. I want to be able to. He can hit too. That guy rakes. He raked up in AAA, so I want to, just so I can kind of you know play jokes to him. I want to play better than him, but pretty much everybody. I'm those guys are all my brothers, so uh, I want to stack up against those guys too.
Goals for 2024.
Uh, not not let myself think about stupid, numerical stats, because the more you try to chase those numerical stats, the less you're gonna produce them. And I want to like kind of fall in a trance where it's like I'm focusing on is how much bigger can my ego be, that I don't want to let any pitcher beat me. Like, I'm simply going there because I have a job to do and that guy's trying to mess it up, you know. If I can beat him, whether it be like with a long AB and or dropping in a run, as long as I keep winning like the majority of my battles with the pitchers, then honestly that will give you a very good numerical season. So I want to stay with that.
Do you pay any attention to prospect rankings or anything like that? I mean, MLB.com, they got you at number 9 in the Phillies farm system. Is that on your radar at all?
No, I mean a little bit, obviously, because you open your phone and it's there, and you hear your name. You hear someone talking about you in real life. It's the same thing. You're curious about it, but at the same time, like if they're saying stuff that you don't like, and what's the point in joining conversation, or like you just let them talk, or whether it be good things or bad things, they can do the same amount of damage to your mental. So I try not to get into that, even though, sometimes you look it up, sometimes you search in your name and see what some people are saying, but it's, I try to stay away from that.
That's wise. How did you,
Yeah.
what was the experience like in the home run derby? I mean, was that, it was fun. You guys were, you had the home run derby and the fall stars game. I really enjoyed it as being someone who was covering those events. I thought they were very fun. The community came out. What was that? I mean, was there anything about doing a home run derby that you're like, wow, okay, that was harder than I thought it would be, or this, like again, something that surprised you about it?
Um, I was very nervous just because I wanted to win so bad and I wanted to go on like further. And I don't want to, I don't want to make it seem like I would have won, but I had two home runs called foul. I talked to the guy that was doing that, and he was good sport and good guy about it. But shout out Rosario who won, and Parmigiani did great. But I mean, I was locked in. I was getting warmed up, and it was so fun. Like, that ball flies in Arizona, so any like you would miss hit one and it would get out, and you'd just be like, "That's all right, let's go, let's get in a groove." And then all of a sudden you see Manzardo or hit one like freaking 500 feet, because I don't know, the ball just took off. It would just fly off everybody's bat. You would hit one solid, and you try not to look at it, but you want to, and it's like, I got to keep swinging.
How'd you enjoy the fall stars game?
I treated it like the home run derby, and it kind of bit me in the butt. Honestly,
Trying to
we
put on a
we
show.
yeah, we kind of got killed. It was fun though. Like Victor Scott did his thing, and uh, I don't know. I think the guys had fun. Uh, Obviously, you don't like to lose any game, but it's an All-Star game, so
Victor Scott might be the greatest bunter that I've ever seen.
yeah, not a skill that I can say I'm also good at.
The ability that he has to bunt and get to first base, the combination of his bunting ability with his speed. Oh man, he's a fun player to watch. He plays a great center field, and yeah, great base runner. I think a couple times he got a little greedy. I remember one game where he tried to just like hustle home to he wanted to steal home on the throwback to the pitcher, and that didn't work out too well for him. But he's gonna. I mean, I think fans are really gonna enjoy watching him when he gets up to the big leagues.
I mean, when you have his speed, like who wouldn't try to do that? You
Yeah,
know, like nobody
exactly.
else he was even thinking about it, but he believes he can do it, so you might as well try when you're running that fast. And there's not a lot of guys that have that speed and also have the ability to read balls and like take good routes just because they're simply relying on their speed. But I think Vic uses both of them, like good reads, good routes, and he has a speed, so he's just getting to balls like that some people would just really struggle getting to. So
How much?
it's
Oh,
fun
go
watching
ahead.
him.
Sorry. Yeah. How much FIFA are you playing these days?
It could be said it's an unhealthy amount of time on the game, but I'm also going to bed at 8:30, so it's I'm balancing it out. But I don't know. I spend too much time on that game, to be honest. I spend too much time to to lose to anybody.
Are you playing on PlayStation, Xbox?
PlayStation.
PlayStation. So I just got a Nintendo Switch recently, and we had a house at the winter meeting, so we were playing a lot of Mario Kart,
A lot of
Mario
Smash
Party.
Bros.
Yeah, Smash, a lot of Mario Kart, and then we played Mario Party, and it was like me and Lance Brusdowski from the Cubs Marquee TV network, and then we had a house of 6 guys, like a bunch of us just young dudes want to split an Airbnb and be at the winter meetings, and we had a blast. So we played a lot of that, and I initially got it as like, okay, I'm gonna play the Switch as like a multiplayer console, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, it is so cold outside. I'm like playing all these Super Mario Brothers games. It's a great. I mean, there's no shame in playing a little bit of video games here when you're in the off season. You gotta
Yeah,
unwind a little
dude.
bit somehow.
I get locked on the sticks, man. I don't take it. I don't have any shame to be on that game.
Do you play
And
with
dude, I don't like Mario Party, to be honest with you, because
no Mario Party?
because you'll be winning, and then all of a sudden they do this little like participation thing at the
Yeah,
end, and
socialism. Yeah.
they give freaking stars to the guy that came in last place. Like, what are you doing?
There's some of that in Mario Kart too, where it's like,
Really?
okay, we're gonna give you the bullet power up so you can go from last to fourth place, and it's just like, yeah, there's the new Mario Party that they made, I think is a little more competitive. There's a little more weight in winning those mini games, but the other the other Mario Party that came out on the Switch, the first one, that one it doesn't even matter how well you do in the mini games. The mini games are useless because they give everyone a ton of coins anyways. It's all participation trophies.
The mini games are really fun, though. I will say that.
Mini games are really fun. Um, do you ever play the Switch, or do you have a friend who has a Switch or anything like that?
My boy Javi Rivera has a Switch, and he's is gross like, on Smash Bros. He's really good at that. I got my girlfriend a Switch. She's been getting into all that Mario, those
Animal
Mario
Crossing,
games.
probably.
I don't know.
The
I
girls
don't know.
girls love Animal Crossing. Is she playing Mario Odyssey or Mario what's the other one? Mario 3D World?
She just got so I just got it for her. She got Mario Party, Mario Kart, and Smash. She loves
Okay,
Super
yeah.
Smash Bros.
The
Yeah.
trifecta. Yeah, those are
Yeah.
great games. A lot of fun. You also mentioned to me before we started recording that you're now a big pickleball and spike ball guy. How'd you get into that?
Thanks to my girlfriend plays beach volleyball, so she's insane at spike ball. And playing with her, obviously, you get better just with people that are just that good at spike ball. And I think every court game, volleyball players or just any like tennis player, obviously be good at pickleball, but like any court game, just suits her or that type of athlete. So uh, I play pickleball every now and then. My agent loves playing pickleball, and I'm always talking trash to him, like you can't beat me, bro. Like, come on, I'd smoke you. Uh, and a spike ball, I just love playing. I just love setting her up, and she'll do like this like weird like spin on the ball, and it hits here, and you think it's gonna go this way, but it goes the other way, or like she'll like pretend she's gonna hit it this way, and she like goes like that right before it hits the net. I don't know. It's weird. I enjoy it.
How'd you meet your girl?
At FAU, baseball, they would like do some co-ed games against beach volleyball, and I was like, all right, I don't really like to socialize. I'm not a very good socializer, but Uh, I'll go play. And she showed up late. I was like, "You're cute," and she was a great personality. Uh, it's helped a lot.
Yeah, that's one of the things why I know a lot of these guys who are getting into dating apps, and hey, if that works for you, all power to you. Great. I know a lot of people have met their match on those apps, but I just couldn't do the apps because I feel like the apps you miss out on the whole personality thing. That's just such a huge thing of attraction.
I think the biggest thing is get someone who loves Jesus just as much as you do, if not more, because then that way they can push you to love Jesus a little more than what you do. Because at the end of the day, like if a relationship based on each other, you guys are gonna have a lot of ups and downs, a lot of downs, more downs than ups. But if you're in a relationship where you both focus on Jesus, then He will put you guys together closer than if you're infatuated with each other. So she helped me a lot with that.
There's a really good book about that. I don't know if you have read any Christian books aside from God's Word, but there's a really good dating book called Outdated by J.P. Pekluda. I don't know if you've heard of that book. It's really good. It's basically saying the same thing that you're saying.
Yeah, I struggle to read. I'm not a good reader, but the Bible's is
Audiobooks?
yeah. I'll do Harvey Dorfman's The Mental Game of Baseball on the Audible. Uh, but like I bought an action Bible, which is kind of like a comic of the Bible, like just a comic book. Has some
Oh,
pictures in
cool.
there, like maybe a little. I'll have a buy a coloring book next, just because that's my type of reading level, I guess.
That's really cool. I didn't know those existed. Okay, I'll ask you a few more things and then we'll say goodbye for now. Um, what's God teaching you right now? How's He preparing you for this season?
Um, I think he's. I just I got to be more out of the world and more into the presence of God, because you can't be in both, and bear the fruits of what God promises you if you're half foot, like you're 1 foot in the world and 1 foot in God. So I need to take that foot out of the world more than what I it is right now, just because it hinders my hearing of what God is trying to tell me and teach me and show me. And when you ask me a question like that, I don't really have the answer to it, just because I think I'm honestly hindered by my own actions of being 1 foot in the world. So maybe that is to take it out, take that foot out. So
I appreciate the honesty there. Um, okay, let's see. Do you have what's the faith community like with your team? Is there a chapel? You got some guys that you're able to go to and have community with?
we go to Building 28 here in Clearwater, or I think Countryside, but that's a good church. It's more of like it's more less of like feel good and more of like studying certain chapters in depth. It's more of like the meat
Yeah.
of the Bible instead of like milk, um, which is totally fine. Like going to a church with more feel good, just because I was once there, and uh, but I like more of a deeper. I want to understand more. I'm more of like less emotional character. I want to, some people, like a lot of people think like Christianity is just is like cupcake feel good um, thing, and it's the opposite. And it's just that the world of deception makes you think that it's not. So I like more of you know make you feel less, and submit yourself to God and more of the truth.
That's
That's what Building
amazing.
28 is. Yeah.
Awesome. And one more thing we should mention is that your dad was a minor league player. What is the best advice that he's given to you, or the ways that he's helped you in your pursuits of baseball?
He, although he was a pitcher, like the guy is a mental giant. So it's like he helped me with a lot of preparing my mental, and the work ethic has to be there, and you gotta want it, and if you wanted to do it, you get it done. Type of teaching, and he would always tell me about what he had to go through and how the minor leagues are a grind, and he grew up in that time, and he had no idea whether or not uh, the times now would be the times we're in. But he would always say, and he would always complain about how like the minor leagues you're treated like nothing, um, which honestly was helpful because if you think that it's going to be worse than what it is, you'll be prepared for more. Just because it's not as bad as it actually is, but you prepared for that. So uh, I think he helped me with my work ethic and uh, with the mental toughness part.
That's awesome. And is there a major league player that you've modeled some of your game after?
Uh, Barry Bonds is a fun, my favorite player. But I try not to model and stuff exactly, because then it's like Barry Bonds is Barry Bonds. And although like some of my coaches will say like stop trying to be like Barry Bonds, blah blah blah, like yeah, you're right. Like you're right. But at the same time, there's some really good qualities that come with trying to, emulate a 500 guy. Um, but obviously I have to be myself, and that's also something I'm learning, like who I am as a player and what more can I do that what other people are not expecting me to do, like run the bases, steal bags, trying to unlock those like little tiny um, parts in your game that you didn't probably think you could do, but you're gonna try it out. So just playing hard, honestly, is my model of the game.
Very cool. Well, I think that's it, Gabriel. I appreciate you opening up. Um, is there anything else that you want to talk about before we say goodbye for now? Anything that you come to mind? We covered it all.
Yeah, I think we covered it all. I don't know. Not much going on up in my head.
Awesome. Well, okay. Well, why don't you throw out your Twitter, Instagram, your social media handle so people can follow along with your journey, and promote anything else that that you want to plug.
Instagram is simply how it is here on the screen. It's Gabriel and underscore Rincones Jr. And Twitter, I don't really like Twitter, but if you want to follow my Twitter, it's just Gabe Rincones. Yeah.
You know what? I got one more question. I was like, I had one more. I remember it. All right, I asked DJ Hers this. This is the last one I got for you. 20 years from now, what do you think people will be talking about with your career? What are people going to be saying about you?
Dude, there's no way this guy's still playing, dude. I'm gonna try and have him say that.
I love it. So age 42, you'd be entering your age 43 season. You're still out there getting them
Still out
checks.
there and still competing, you know. on my way out, but still providing.
How many World Series rings at that point?
Lord knows, but we'll shoot. We'll shoot for 3.
3. All right, awesome. Well, Gabriel, thank you so much. This was a blast, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you for having me.
All right, y'all. That concludes our conversation with Gabriel Rincones Jr. Should be a lot of fun to see him out there. Spring training is right around the corner. I'll be out in Clearwater area in a little over a month, so I'll get a chance to watch him play. Probably, grab dinner with him or something like that. But one thing I really admired about Gabriel was his vulnerability and transparency to just share his testimony and talk about his love for Jesus Christ. I mean, that was awesome. That was so cool to hear about and to see, and just excited to see what kind of season he has. And obviously, he's one of our own, so we'll be pulling for him. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. We'll have more of these conversations, most likely with minor league players, coming out over the next month before camp starts, and maybe we'll have some spilling out into camp. But a lot of these episodes are going to be recorded before these guys get in the full swing of things, because they're going to be pretty busy once it's a full go out at spring training. So make sure you guys subscribe to the Jack Vita Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever it is that you get this podcast. You can follow me on social media. It's at Jack Vita Show on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And like I mentioned, we've also got some reality TV coverage. Check out The Traders on Peacock. Stephanie LaGrossa Kendrick, actually the wife of Phillies pitcher Kyle Kendrick. It's funny how it all comes back to the Phillies here. She will be joining me. She was on season 1 of The Traders. She's also a Survivor legend. She competed 3 times on Survivor, big time fan favorite. Has been on a couple other reality shows as well. Stephanie will be co-hosting a weekly recap of The Traders episodes as they drop after each episode on Peacock. So we'll be doing some recaps, and she'll be providing some insight and some commentary and analysis, and there's going to be a lot of laughs that'll be had. So, if you're listening to this, I'd recommend check out the show. If you like this show, check out The Traders, and then check out our recaps. It's going to be a fun time. Until our next episode, I'm Jack Vita, bringing the dancing lobsters.